After serving in the military for years, I was finally going to spend Christmas at home. But a few days before, my dad sent me a message telling me I wasn't welcome anymore. I just replied, "Understood." 5 days later, I woke up to more than 10 missed calls from my family, and one was from their lawyer. "Hi, Reddit. I'm Claire Weston, 31 years old. After almost 10 years overseas in the military, this was supposed to be my first peaceful Christmas at home. No training, no missions, no sand, just rest. I'd imagined this homecoming for years, the hugs, the laughter, the smell of spiced cider in Mom's kitchen. I thought maybe I'd even get the guest room ready for a real rest. My body was tired, but my soul, it was bone-deep exhausted. Home was supposed to be the cure. But the fantasy I held on to for so long cracked the moment I got a message from my father. It was the night of December 17th. I had just finished wrapping small gifts for my nephew and niece, whom I'd never met, and was looking at old photos of my family smiling in front of the Christmas tree when my phone buzzed. The message was short. "Christmas is better without you, better not come." That was it. No greeting, no context. Just a cold, sharp knife straight to the heart. I stared at the screen, blinking. Maybe it was a joke. No emojis, no sarcasm, no mistaking it. It was as blunt as it was deliberate. I hadn't seen my family in person since my final deployment 3 years ago. I'd missed birthdays, weddings, my sister's baby shower, even Grandpa Harold's heart surgery. I chalked up the distance to my duty. I thought they understood. I thought they were proud. But now, just days before Christmas, I was being told, not asked, told not to come. All I replied was, "Understood." And that was it. No one called. Not my mom, not my siblings. Not even a cousin checking in. I didn't cry that night. I didn't scream. I just sat in my apartment with the soft hum of the heater and the muffled sounds of carolers in the street outside, like the whole world was celebrating something I no longer had access to. Christmas came and went. I stayed indoors. Turned off notifications. Ignored the cheerful lies on social media. Then came December 27th. I woke up late that morning. When I picked up my phone, there were 10 missed calls, 5 from my mom, 2 from my sister, Lacey, 1 from my brother, Nathan, 1 from my father, and 1 from a number I didn't recognize. There were voicemails too, the kind you just know are dripping with regret and desperation. Mom's voice cracked. "Claire, please, I just found out what your father said to you. We didn't mean it like that. We need to talk. Something's happened." Lacey's message was colder. "You not showing up has complicated everything. You're not the only one hurting. Call us back." Nathan's message, panicked. "Claire, you need to call Mom. It's about Grandpa. He passed on the 24th, the will. You were supposed to be here." That last sentence made my heart stop. And then came the one that changed everything, a voicemail from a law firm. "Miss Weston, this is Marion Holloway, estate attorney for the late Harold Weston. Please contact our office immediately regarding the execution of his final will and testament. Time sensitive. Thank you." They didn't even tell me he died. The only person in that family who actually cared about me, who used to send handwritten letters to my base, who once sent me a care package labeled "Not all family sucks," was gone. And they hadn't told me. I sat there shaking with rage, grief, and something colder, resolve. I remembered the last time I saw Grandpa Harold, 2 years ago, right before I was transferred. We were sitting on his porch when he said, point blank, "If anything happens to me, don't let them take what's yours. I've made sure you're not forgotten, even if they pretend you don't exist." At the time, I thought it was just an old man talking. But now, it felt like a warning. I called the law office. The attorney confirmed what I was starting to suspect. I was the primary beneficiary of Grandpa Harold's estate, his house, his land, his savings, his business shares, everything. But there was a condition. I had to attend the formal will reading in person on January 3rd. If I failed to attend, the estate would be considered contested, and everything would default to the next of kin, my father. That explained the tidal wave of calls and voicemails. They didn't want me back for me. They needed me to secure the inheritance. After tossing me aside like garbage, they came crawling, because they wanted what wasn't theirs. I asked the attorney one question. Did Grandpa know what they were like before he passed? She paused, then said, "Yes, that's why he changed the will 6 months ago, and why he insisted the will reading be recorded, to prevent them from pressuring you." That was all I needed. I wasn't going as the prodigal daughter crawling back for forgiveness. I was going as the heir they never wanted and the storm they never saw coming. January 3, 9:59 a.m. I walked into the law office wearing a clean navy blue blazer, dark jeans, and boots still bearing the dust of my final deployment. My hair was tied back, my eyes were tired but sharp. I looked like someone who had nothing left to lose. Because I didn't. The receptionist nodded and opened the conference room door. And there they were. My father, red-eyed and stiff in a wrinkled blazer. My mother, hands clutching her purse like a lifeline. Lacey, already annoyed before she even registered it was me. Nathan, visibly uncomfortable, but silent as always. The room fell silent as I entered. My father's expression turned to stone. No surprise, no apology, just pressure in his clenched fist. Lacey was the first to speak. "You actually came." I sat directly across from them and set my folder on the table. "Didn't want to disappoint Grandpa," I said coolly. "He made it clear I had to be here in person." Right then, Miss Holloway walked in. No greetings, no introductions, no time for my family to spin a narrative. She pressed play on a small voice recorder and began reading the will aloud. Grandpa Harold's voice filled the room. "If you're hearing this, it means I'm gone. And if Claire is in the room, thank you, kid, I knew you'd come." My mom's head dropped. Nathan stared at the table. My father's jaw clenched so hard I thought his molars might crack. Claire was the only one who visited me every year without being asked. She never demanded anything, she never came with expectations. She came with love, and for that, she gets everything. You could have heard a pin drop. The house, the land, the truck, the business shares, the savings account, all of it, left to me. Then came the final line. "If anyone contests this, they lose their portion entirely, so think real hard before you do something stupid." Lacey exploded first. "This is ridiculous, you barely even talked to him the past year." I turned to her, calm as ice. "And whose fault is that? You didn't even tell me he died. You had time to plan baby showers and engagement parties, but not one of you thought to text me about the man who raised me when Dad kicked me out." My father snarled. "You think just because you put on a uniform you're better than us?" I leaned forward slightly. "No, I think the fact that you told me not to come home for Christmas, 5 days before Grandpa died, says everything I need to know about who you really are." Mom opened her mouth, tears brimming. "We didn't know what your father had said, he didn't tell us." I cut her off. "You didn't ask, you never ask, you never call. I spent Christmas alone in a one-bedroom apartment while you all drank wine and posted family photos online like I was already dead." Nathan finally spoke. "Claire, this wasn't supposed to happen like this. We were going to talk to you after the holiday. Dad was just angry." I laughed, cold and humorless. "Angry? He told me Christmas was better without me. And you all went along with it. You don't get to rewrite the timeline now that Grandpa left me something." Miss Holloway cleared her throat. "Unless there are legal objections, the paperwork will be processed this week. Claire, we'll need your signature here." I signed without hesitation. When I stood, the room stayed seated, shocked that the daughter they discarded now held everything they wanted. I paused at the door, looked back one last time. "You didn't want me home. You got your wish. But now, this isn't your home anymore." Outside, the cold air hit me like a rebirth. Sharp, clean, final. In the days that followed, everything moved fast. I met with Grandpa's accountant. Turns out his investments were stronger than anyone knew. I met with the real estate attorney and signed the deed to the house. My house. The one my parents were still living in. They had 30 days to vacate. Dad called once. I didn't answer. Lacey emailed, furious and sarcastic. I forwarded it to Miss Holloway and blocked her. Nathan sent a long apology. I read it. I didn't reply. Mom showed up at the law office once. She just stood there, watching from the sidewalk. I didn't flinch. I walked right past her. Actions have consequences. For years, I made excuses for their silence, their favoritism, their absence. I blamed myself for not being the daughter they wanted. But that chapter is over. Now, I have a home. Not because it was given freely, but because the one man who saw my worth made sure I had the last word. I came home, only to be rejected. But when I walked out of that office, I had something stronger than forgiveness: control. And I used it to destroy every bridge they once made me walk. They turned me away at Christmas. So I shut them out of my life for good.